Hey guys, Omni here. I want to give you guys my spoiler-free thoughts on Cobra Kai Season 5. Netflix has allowed us the opportunity to watch this show early so I can feel it out and let you guys know how I feel, what I think about the season without going into any spoilers. But if you want to stick around for those spoilers and see what I thought, how I reacted and all that jazz, my reactions for each and every episode will still be coming up, but they will be releasing once the show airs this Friday. So stick around, stay tuned for that, subscribe if you're not already, and let's talk about this. But really, before we do, I do want to thank you guys because honestly, I wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for you all, the people watching these videos, subscribing, supporting the channel, and we've grown a lot in the last few years, and it's been wild, and it's just still something I'm kind of processing and taking in. This is our first screener, so thank you, Netflix, for giving us this chance. So let's jump into it. Season 5 pretty much picks up right after the events of Season 4, with Cobra Kai having won the All-Valley tournament and Terry Silver getting exactly what he wanted in the end, as Cobra Kai's influence just infects the Valley, with especially with their agreement for Gianni and Daniel, should they lose, they have to shut down their dojos. Cobra Kai, at this point, is the only real karate dojo of note in the Valley, and he's opening new locations, students are coming in left and right, and it is just exploding. But just because Daniel and Gianni shut down their dojos doesn't mean they are out of the fight, because as we saw, Daniel has brought in some reinforcements as Chozen hits the scene to help defend the honor of Miyagi-Do. And his presence throughout this season was a delight. Having Chozen on as a regular throughout the season was just a gem. Yuji Okamoto does a fantastic job in this at balancing levity, honor, and just the seriousness as well. And that he just always is riding this line where he's just a fun character to watch with his interactions with Daniel, Gianni, Terry Silver, with the kids themselves. It's a lot of fun, man. I'm glad that he's on board, because after Season 3 and the taste we got with him, I was just like, man, I really hope they find a way to work him back. And every time they bring somebody in, whether it be somebody we've seen set up in a previous season or maybe some new faces that show up in this one, there's always a story reason for it, and it works. It is natural to the story and to the environment that they've built around this. It never feels forced. It feels natural that these characters would integrate back into all of this drama in a way, and I love the way that they managed to pull this off. There's some fun surprises throughout this season, I will say. Thomas Ian Griffith as Terry Silver, with Kreese out of the picture, is just a threat to be reckoned with. He is my favorite Karate Kid villain, hands down, and this is why. This goes into it in depth. With him being our primary antagonist, he's not vying for control, he's not seeding his way in, there's no like, hey, Terry, come back to the dark side like there was in Season 4. Not that I didn't enjoy any of that, but this is just Terry off the chain the entire way through, and he's just so intoxicating to watch in every scene and every interaction, and it's just so much fun. And it's a good thing that Daniel ended up reaching out to Chozen, because remember, he needs some backup because Gianni's not around. I don't know if he knows this at that point, but Gianni's off in Mexico trying to find Miguel, who's ran off to go find his biological father, because he's been having these questions about himself, and there's this hole, this gap in his soul that he's just kind of trying his best to fill, where he's been struggling with his identity mostly throughout the last season as well, and especially seeing like Gianni continuously, no matter how rocky the situation gets, always try to make things right with Robby, and that makes him question his own relationship with his father and the fact that he doesn't know anything about him except for what his mother's told him, and he wants to see that for himself, see if she's right, see if she's wrong, see if he's changed, see what that is. And then maybe he can answer some of those questions for himself. But with that said, Robby and Gianni's relationship in this, as they start to mend it, they come together at the end of last season, seeing them try to kind of work this thing out is a lot of fun as well. Gianni's entire storyline of this season is about maturation. It's pretty much been his arc from Season 1 to now, but we're really starting to see like the fruits of that. With him trying to be a good father to Robby, him trying to be a good stepfather to Miguel, him trying to make these relationships in his life work, you know, putting and burying the past with Daniel aside. You know, it's Gianni is, he's got an interesting like series of hurdles in this, and there's still some twists and turns that I'll leave for you guys to explore and discover for yourselves when it comes out, but Gianni's got a really interesting narrative in this storyline this season, and I really can't wait to see how everybody reacts to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. You know, obviously, Tory is still struggling with the fact that her win has been tainted and what to do with that, where her frustrations lie, should she accept her win? Should she confront Silver? And what does that mean about her if she couldn't win this on her own, if somebody had to buy it for her? What does that mean? How that attacks her self-worth? And it's her storyline is, again, she came from a really rough spot in the beginning with, you know, the way she was framed for us. But what the show really does is kind of makes everybody like a mix of grays. Nobody's like a clear-cut villain, though I would argue that in season 2, she's kind of not that layered. But they've done a lot to kind of circumvent that in season 3 and season 4, and by this season, they've made her a very fully realized character. Sam is reeling after this loss, trying to understand how things went wrong, what is wrong with her and her arc in this season. And I know she gets a lot of crap from a lot of people, but I'm fascinated with her arc. I think more so than any of the kids. I think she's got a really, really deep and rich psychological profile that can be talked about with this character from where she started to where she's going, where she is, and where she ends up. And it's a lot of fun seeing her kind of parse that out and discover that along the way. Just like previous seasons, the fights are great. They are fantastic. Whether it be the kids, whether it be some one-on-ones, whether it be group fights, we get it all, man. We even get some things that were a little bit of a surprise. As the fights and as the story escalates, there are some points in this season where I'm legitimately uncertain what the outcome's going to be in every turn. There are some moments in this where I was literally like, am I watching Cobra Kai or am I watching Game of Thrones? What is happening right now? And it's kind of wild, man. I really enjoyed the season. I will say, as far as complaints go or nitpicks or anything like that, I'll just kind of like be real quick about those, and they don't detract from the show at all for me. I still enjoyed the heck out of it. If I had any minor complaints about it, is I do think that in the early episodes, and I don't know if this is because of the rush scheduling or anything like that, because I do think that this project, you know, it's coming out 5 months earlier than it normally would have, and I think part of that has to do with Xolo being cast in the Blue Beetle and stuff like that, so I don't know if they were working around the schedule, and I don't know if because of that they had to rush some of their time shooting some of these, but some of the earlier fights in the season were a little choppy, quick-cutty, and not as elegant as we've seen in the past. Once you get later into the season, things start to smooth out a little bit, and we get some pretty stellar fights between these characters, whether it be the kids, whether it be some one-on-ones, whether it be group fights. We get it all, man. And I will say that some storylines are resolved kind of quickly. One in particular, I kind of wish we spent a little more time with, but I kind of understand that dragging that one out in particular would risk turning the show into something that is kind of not. And I think once you see what the show itself, you might know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about that one. There's another resolution that kind of comes later that is also a little on the dime, but it's one that I kind of get. It's a little tropey if you're an anime person at all, and it's probably because of that I can appreciate a little bit more. And again, I think you'll understand which one I'm talking about when you see it. That all said, guys, if you have enjoyed Cobra Kai up to this point, I'm sure you're going to love this season. I had a blast with it. I don't know where it stacks up with me in all the seasons. Like 3 through 5 right now, to me, feel very neck and neck. And depending on my mood, it can go either way for me. I think these last 3 seasons have been stellar. I have no idea, aside from like one thing, that I can expect out of the next season, to be honest. This season wholly changes the landscape of what the show has been. While still feeling familiar, we are in totally different territory right now, and I really like it. I will also say that this feels a little bit like a bridge season, kind of like season 3 was, but we'll have to wait and see how it goes. But guys, that's been my spoiler-free thoughts on this. I would love to know your thoughts once you've seen the show, and make sure to stick around and stay tuned for my reactions. Once the show comes out Friday, September 9th, my reactions will be right there, ready and rearing for you guys. But that's been my thoughts, guys. Let me know yours. Sound off the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. We'll carry on the conversation after the video. Feel free to join us in our Discord. We can talk about it there as well. Links to that in all my socials description box below. Follow me in each and every one of those. Before we go, I want to shout out our channel legends: Manny Sherritt, Ryan Karen, Jason Coleman, Philly Vane, Yori Corey Scott, Margaret Grace, Mary Bradley, Melita, Robert Anguiano, and Raven McCann. Thank you guys so much for continued support. But that's it for this video, guys. And thank you again to Netflix. And remember, Cobra Kai never dies. Take care, everybody.